Our friends here can tell us, is there any echo?
Anybody on Google Meet? Is there any echo, any sort of echo? Yes and no. Anybody?
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Snigdha. You are the prompt one here. Okay. Others as well, Krutika, Chitranshu. So yeah, again, people are watching us live on Instagram. So we have just started a live session on Google Meet, Facebook Live, and other platforms. So welcome you all. We had a little bit of technical hassle, so we couldn't go live on Instagram, but now we are. So I was just, the introductions have not been happened, and nothing has been discussed important yet. So yeah, guys, you are on time. We have been a little late, so I'll just start with another notice again that I just gave on Google Meet, other platform, that on people on Instagram, you can post in your questions on comments. We'll try and take all of them if the time allows, with our guest, because we have a super busy guest here again, Charushila Narula. I'll start with the introduction for you. So we have a lot to say about you, but because we have 45 minutes and you have a lot of questions to answer from our audience, so I think so that we have to keep it short but crisp. Charushila Narula is the founder director of University Connection, a company, a startup, a platform, giving students the connection to the much, they are bridging this much needed gap of connecting them to the premier universities all across the world. They're training them, guiding them, giving them all sort of guidance, giving them all sorts of training through video calls now in this pandemic, through physical interactions. And she's using her all her experiences, to guide those students, the new students, to go into those premier universities and make a mark in it. And she is basically majorly serving the Indian market, but recently she has proliferated her business, in some other countries as well. We'll know more from Charushila herself about what work she's doing in detail, what audience she's targeting as of now, and which kind of students, which streams of students is she helping. If we are talking about scholarships or just admissions, if we are talking about fellowships and other places as well. So that all will leave to Charushila. When it comes to University Connections comes in, and there is where Charushila is that expert. So thank you again, Charushila, for joining us today for this webinar. We are really pleased that you are here, because when we circulated this newsletter, I'm just making up this whole aura thing and the context thing around it, because it's very important, because this is what happened when we were circulating these newsletters for the webinars and inviting people. So we got many requests. So sorry for those, if you're watching us on Instagram live, that we couldn't invite you on Google Meet, because we have to have a very limited audience on Google Meet for Charushila to actually interact and answer all the questions. So we had to take only a select few, and that is why we wanted you to actually reply on the newsletters, so that we can select you to join our Google Meet. From next webinar, please keep this in mind, that do reply on our newsletter, so that we can keep you in the loop and join in the Google Meet session, and you can interact with the guest. So thank you again, Charushila. That was it from my side, your introduction. We'll be really pleased if you can just talk in a minute or two about general University Connection, your work, and then we'll dive into the webinar serious things.
Well, thank you so much, Desh. It's really my pleasure to be part of this great forum that you've created, and I'm really looking forward to the interactions. I think you've said enough, so let's actually dive into the questions, because I don't want to, somehow eat into the time of questions, because let's actually take as many questions. I know students and parents at this point are extremely concerned, are extremely worried, and rightly so, because so much is happening on a daily basis. Believe you me, even as an education consultant and a career mentor, I am constantly reading, and I'm constantly keeping myself updated on the new changes. I'm constantly in touch with my representatives from different universities. I'm also talking to a lot of Indian universities, by the way, in terms of how the entire education sector is changing, and how this might lead to some very substantial changes in terms of policy making, in terms of a new style of teaching, perhaps, or a new wave in education, hopefully. So I'm very excited to, of course, share a few of these things with all of you.
Thank you very much, Arshila. On behalf of our audience, so these are the pertaining questions that our audience and the general public, the student community that we basically precisely and University Connections is dealing with are. So this is our audience, and we have always have a lot of questions. One second. There's a little bit of echo. There's Instagram. Somebody's saying. Okay, not sorted. Okay. So yeah, so we have a lot of questions and always have the questions, especially in this time of pandemic where everything is uncertain, jobs, admissions, your normal work, your family, your health, everything out there is uncertain. So this part, the admissions part, getting out there, going abroad for your studies, this is of course, when it comes, comes the word international and abroad, it becomes more uncertain, especially in these times. So we'll start with the question, people have the major question that Indians have today is, if you're just talking about Indians, or any other country, a third world country where people want to go to the US or Australia or the UK or Europe, why abroad education? Is it in general a good time to even think about it? I know our businesses depend upon it. We make and match students with great opportunities. We make sure that students do well in their careers and their professional life. But students are asking us questions like, are you, you yourself and we ourselves, a good business model to perform in this, in this situation of the pandemic? So it's a question for us. So I like your take on it,
So I would say, Desh, very daring of you to ask this question, because actually speaking, like you said, it impacts our enterprise and the venture that we handle. But okay, so I studied at Lady Shri Ram College, okay, LSR, Delhi University, and I'm pretty sure you're a product from there as well. And I spent the best 3 years of my life there, and thereafter also ended up studying in India, as well as, of course, certain international stints thereafter. But really speaking, today I do find that when it comes to, frankly, nothing against Indian colleges and universities. So, because my heart is with LSR still. But at the same time, after having mentored thousands of students and having seen their journey pan out in different parts of the world at some of the top universities in the world, I just find that the kind of opportunities that are, frankly, that come knocking at your door are unprecedented, in terms of scholarships, fellowships, internship opportunities, opportunities to link with the big fours, or opportunities to actually intern at some of the best places, opportunities to grow your own skills as such are immense. Yeah. So keeping that in mind alone, international education definitely will continue to make sense. Of course, coming back to where we are today, we cannot entirely negate the fact that today we are pretty much sitting in our own houses and figuring out an education for our own selves. So it does become important for us to understand and analyze why international education, if at all. Yeah. So to that, my simple answer to that question is that from the very beginning, what we have been telling students is that you are at the center of your education and your experiences. Okay? Whatever you listen to, whatever you see, whatever you experience becomes a part of your personality, isn't it? Right. So why should it be any different right now? Because right now, more than ever, you are indeed a master of who you want to become. Yeah. So do you want to actually become like a frog in the pond? Yeah. Who's only concerned with what is happening in my country, or you want to analyze your statistics in terms of, how many cases have increased in Delhi, in Bangalore, whatever. I know that some people are just following that news. Or you want to actually typically take charge of your life and say that, okay, here is my skill set. Here is my aptitude. Here is my knowledge base. This is where I am currently. I want to reach here. There is a gap that exists. How am I going to bridge that gap? I'm not saying that this gap is going to be filled up by a university degree. It might be filled up through in other ways. But the whole idea is today, more than ever, you can reach out to an international education, at the click of a button. So why should you not do that in that sense? Yeah. So I know that your question is a little two-pronged, whether we should actually physically make the move of going to a university internationally, or we should sit here and do a degree here. Is that what you were trying to get at, Desh?
Yeah. I was trying to get there, but like, in between your voices, your voice actually started doubling up. So there was a great echo problem. So I couldn't really hear the last part.
Now I can hear your echo. Oh God.
Yeah, something.
I think we'll have to get off one platform.
I think so, because it's like repeating and it's not good. Just a second. I think we'll have to go away with the Instagram live. Okay.
Instagram should come up with a feature where you can go live through a laptop, It'll make life so much easier. If they are listening.
It's still echoing?
Not in my ear now.
Not for myself as well. So I think it already became fine.
Okay.
Okay,
hota hai.
That's okay. 1 second. I'll switch this off. I think this will make it better. Okay. Now I think it will make it better, because it was a problem with StreamYard, not Instagram. So sorry, Instagram. But yeah, it was a problem with StreamYard because they started doubling up the audio, and it was with the Facebook Live. So I've ended it now. I don't think. So yeah, last. Sorry for it. Just the last part, Charushila, I couldn't get.
No, so I was basically asking you that, are you asking me whether engaging with international programs makes sense at this stage, or physically going to a campus to study it makes sense at this stage? What is your question?
Actually, I was coming to the second question now, that physically doesn't make sense to go over there, because personally, before you get into it, I know you'll have a lot of experience with dealing with people, basically getting them in even this pandemic situation. Before the call, we were talking about you giving counseling session to somebody. We had a call scheduled before that. So maybe people are basically taking these consultations and guidances, like in these times also. So there are people, there is a set of community which is still interested in, taking up the online course, even if the university has become online and everything, because they are more interested in the experience of it, interacting with people. So I'll just put in my experience, what I had, and maybe then you can pitch in, your experience. That, I have been part of many virtual events, many online conferences, not just in pandemic, but before that, because I attended close to like 30 to 40 different conferences, and 40% of them were online. So only 60% of them, I got to go to the countries, but 40% of them are online. And online conferences, actually, we tend to make better friends. The community got closer. Why? I'll tell you. Because, when 50 people get together in a conference for 4 days in a random city, in a random country, we do not know each other. We don't have any background. We have never interacted with each other. We are not friends. We are coming from different countries, different cultures. And then suddenly you get together, you get 3 days, you have to acclimatize yourself with the culture, with the environment, with the country. That's all good. That's all a good, very good experience. But then with the people, who will be your network, who will you be interacting with in the future, and they'll help you, you will help them, and it will be a sort of a bigger network, partnership. That doesn't seem to happen. You can only basically interact deep with 4 to 5 people max, and that's it. In 3 days you can't do more. That's what I have experienced, basically. But when it happens virtually, we get the whole 24 hours for that conference, because when you apply for them, they ask you a full commitment. So if you're giving a full commitment, they give you assignments, group projects, online calls, doubling up on your emails and everything else, and going live and putting up statuses, following people, and having one-to-one chats. So that makes us bring more closer than those 3 days in a conference. I'm telling you, with my IGF experience, there was a conference called Internet Governance Forum I applied to, and there was a 2-month course, virtual, and then 3 days conference. So those 2 months actually proved out to be really helpful. So I want to ask you, for the people to, this is a myth for the people, that if the university has become online, it's no use, good use to us. If MIT is teaching online, I don't think so I can learn that much. But from my perspective, they still can, enjoy the benefits of it. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. So I partially agree with you. I'm a little conventional in my approach because I do like campus life and interacting with the infrastructure overall and being part of certain social and theater activities, music activities, dance activities. So when it comes to an actual college-like experience, obviously the student is not just paying for a paper degree; they are actually paying for the entire experience. Yes.
Right.
Having said that, okay, the part that I definitely agree on is this entire flipped classroom that is being approached. That learning is approaching at this point in time, because what is happening definitely is that each one of us has a certain pace. Desh might be a very fast learner, Charushila might be a very slow learner. Yeah. So keeping that in mind, that I would want to pause the video, I would want to see the video in my own way and therefore learn. And definitely for me, if especially in this generation, I do find that one is very comfortable with the online media, very comfortable with interacting with people online and trusting them online essentially. So therefore, this connection gets established for sure. And I'm also seeing, I'm speaking to some of my friends from school, let's say, some directors who are running schools right now, and they themselves are also finding that yes, students are absorbing much faster. The teachers are also in fact getting happier now with planning the curriculum and engaging with the students. So this online learning format will work, according to me. What the students need to definitely empathize with, and this is coming after a conversation with a very senior representative of a top university in Canada as well as in the US. And I was actually asking her that, what do you think? Students are actually asking me this question, that why should we be paying for an infrastructure that we are not using now that the college is online, like you said, for MIT and stuff. So, and she educated me and she told me that, what, Charu, right now, the amount of money we have spent in completely changing our curriculum online. She was sharing with me something like, 100,000 plus books in their library have been all converted to an online medium. So it is a lot of money overall being spent to maintain platforms and to maintain the online sanctity of the program so that the students find it engaging. And that, I think, will still lead to the similar kind of, let's say, fee structures still, prevailing until I think they reach some kind of an economies of scale and then they bring it down after a few years. But for now, I think universities are putting in a lot of effort to go online, and that's why the fee structure is going to continue to stay that way. But it does make sense. It does make sense to definitely stay engaged with some learning at this point in time, because see, another thing that's happening is I find that students, everybody is ending up picking up, let's say, a coding program just because it's the in thing. Yeah. You want to suddenly learn about stocks and you want to learn about how to become rich quick and all that. So you pick up these 5 finance programs and you start doing that. Now, you and I both know the merit of actually studying economics, finance, business at its very core, and then delving into the fields of investment banking or anything else, isn't it? So that's where I feel that while it's okay to develop shorter, smaller skills, the value of deeper engagement with a proper degree is very different. So you can do a degree, you can do a short-term course in understanding what are an introduction to psychology, but you don't become a psychologist by just doing that online course in an introduction to psychology. So I think somewhere that differentiation is very important. I am nowadays getting queries from students who are asking me, should I even get into a degree? I can just pick up 10 online courses and that's my education. And to which my answer is the same, that, please don't devoid yourself from going deeper into concepts. There is a reason an engineer could create a revolution, or an engineer or a designer can create certain products because they went through that period of discovery, they went through the period of learning, and they went through this interdisciplinary approach to understanding how different subjects interact with each other. And I think that's where students will need to delve a little deeper.
That's a really nice point, because thanks for touching upon it, because I was going to ask you about courses as well. So once we are talking about having these traditional courses, or diving deep into the course and not letting yourself sway away from those 5 videos on YouTube, like let's teach you finance and you become a millionaire, so not getting swayed away about from that. So how much do you think are the skill based courses important? How much importance do they hold? Because they are also not traditional degrees, but right now, because of the jobs, the pandemic situation and the jobs being lost and the unemployment rate being very, very high, so people are like, I'll have to invest 40,000 US dollars for just the tuition fees in an American university. So will it be worth it? Will it be worth it taking all that loan and paying that fees, paying that fees? Okay, everything has become online. They are trying their best. Virtual mediums are very good, but wouldn't it be better if the students take? That's not my point. That's a question from our audience. So wouldn't it be better if we take an online skill-based course from the same university, maybe, but from EDX or Coursera or Code Ninja or anywhere else in the on any platform, and will be more worth it than a conventional degree, just for this 1 or 2 years when the pandemic situation doesn't help the students?
So if it works for you, and if it is definitely something which has to do with your own constraints, whether it's a budget constraint or any other, you must. So I have this concern about generalizing everything. What is one family's issue or a problem cannot be generalized to an entire population.
Right.
Yeah. And somewhere I would say that is the biggest problem or problem area, especially when it comes to students, because we are all so connected. We are posting on our stories, and we are posting on different media and other places. So we are basically. So we feel that if I'm going through this, another one will also be going through this, but that's not the case. So we are homogeneous. Yes, we are Indians, and we are all going through a certain collective issue. But at the same time, our problems are different. Somebody might have a budget constraint, someone might not. So, and someone might be very good with planning their time, even if they were given a 6-month break, and somebody might actually become a sloth in that time and not move at all and not do anything with their lives and do anything productive with themselves during that period of time. So it's not one size fits all. Having said, and also I feel that somewhere, another gentleman was mentioning the other day, the life of a skill today is close to 5 months. So every 5 months you feel that you should be upskilling yourself. So there is no end to upskilling. You can go on upskilling yourself. So as a content writer, if I learned about search engine optimization, then I become a better content writer. Yeah. But if someone told me that, you're not a reader, can you be a good content writer? Yes, you can, but there is going to be a certain merit in case you have grown up reading, and then you're a content writer. I don't know if I'm able to make sense. Trying to give an example.
Because I just got a question that please ask ma'am to elaborate upon this point. It looks interesting. So I'll
okay, so I'll try to elaborate further. I think I've gone away from your Instagram this thing. Have I, or am I back?
Yes. You're gone away. I'll add you again. No, you're completely gone. You'll have to come online again, like not online.
I am online. I am on your list.
It doesn't show your name. It shows people's names, but not yours. Okay, now it does. Thank you. Waiting. Okay.
So the point I was making is that, let's say today, they say that 1 out of 4 graduates are going to actually be from India. Yeah. So keeping that in mind, if Indians are going to tomorrow become a great workforce for the rest of the world. Yeah. So whether it is, just working within India or outside, being sourced to other countries, let's say. Yeah. So at one level, yes, we should constantly think about upgrading our skills, but it is very important to work on your core. I don't know if there are some people who are into fitness here, they will understand the value of a core. Yeah. You can do leg raises and you can do crunches and you can do various other things, and then you can have a stomach ache after that. But if your core is strong, you can do pretty much every kind of headstand that you imagine, essentially. So I'm just trying to focus. I'm just saying that first, see, is your core strong? Is your core in terms of subjects, in terms of an understanding of your interdisciplinary approach to learning and all of that? If that is strong, please go ahead and pick up 10 other courses and skill yourself. Yeah. There is also another alternate view to this thing, and this alternate view will come from the working sector. So let's say there are organizations who are today actually looking at a specific skill of, let's say, data scientists or coders or the likes that you're just mentioning. In that case, yes, they are willing, or even, let's say, initially there used to be the hotel management industry. Okay, so there's a reason an Oberoi group has its own hospitality college, or an ITC decided to launch its own college. Why? Because they have a great demand of, people who've done hospitality, so they would rather train them. Yeah. There's a great demand for nurses, so they will start a nursing institute for that, right? So that's always going to happen. So if that's a kind of skill that you want to develop and then join that workforce, please go ahead. But also know that if you have greater capability, let's say you come with a greater skill set, let's say, and you feel that you're capable of more, then it's advisable for you to invest in a longer duration of a program, for the simple fact that when the time comes, let's say 3 years, 4 years from now, when you have exhausted your skill and they see you as a leader in the organization, you might actually hit the glass ceiling and say that, I can't go up now. I can't be the president of this company, or I can't be the vice president, whatever, just because I just picked up skills. Yeah, I did not really do any kind of deeper qualification.
So, Charushila, I mean, that prompts another user's question, that we have in the sheet. It definitely connects to the same thing. So, okay, my name is Desh Deepak, and I am good at negotiation, communication, and management. All right, but I have never been out of India. I have never been to a premier Ivy League university. I don't even know about it, but I want to. I really want to. That's where you guys come in, and if Desh Deepak connects with university connection, he gets the guidance and everything else. But before that, as a student, as a prospective client, when we were talking about degrees and traditional degrees and skill-based courses, so how do I make sure that a particular degree, a particular university is relevant for me? How do we define relevancy in this sense? What are the parameters for it, if there are? And if there isn't, then why so? And how should we go about it then? As a user, I'm talking about students here, because they don't even know that, MIT is there. They don't know if they can actually get in first. They don't know if that degree will be relevant to their core course, whatever their studies. Second point. Third point is that, they don't know if they'll fit in with another culture and the university, another university degree, another country. These are the questions that people have responded us to. So they are not even sure if that degree will be relevant in a general sense to them. So what parameters should they consider while taking that decision, and before approaching University Connection or Precisely or anybody else out there, that help me out, please? I want to get there.
A very good question, actually. And before I answer that, I would like you to actually, because I'm also getting some feedback that the Instagram live is making the voice echo on Instagram. So I think we should close this and perhaps tell the Instagram friends to come on Facebook, perhaps, if it's possible. Is it because it is definitely echoing?
Because we were doing the Facebook Live with StreamYard, and StreamYard also had the same problem. I think it's only the problem of mic. So your earphones are working fine, right, with Instagram?
Yeah.
Then it shouldn't be an echo problem, because
I don't know. I've just got another feedback, but I'll continue with the answer, of course. So it's
I'll
You can
ask my
decide.
team. Yeah, I'll ask my team to check on this. Maybe they'll find a
Sure,
solution.
sure.
Okay.
So I think relevance has become the big buzzword. I think just next to pandemic, because somewhere relevance is okay. So how should I put this? Let me say there is something that you do. Let's say you do MBBS to become a doctor.
Uh-huh.
You do architecture, you become an architect. You do CA, you become a chartered accountant. So there are certain degrees and certain qualifications you take in order to become that. So which means they are a means to an end. Yeah. You did this program to become this whole thing. So, and that's what they are meant for, beyond other things, of course, your ambition and everything else. Now, there are certain things that you do or certain qualifications that you pick up which are an end in themselves. What do I mean by that? Why do they say that an economics qualification, let's say, or a psychology qualification, or to some extent even statistics or some other social sciences, are an end in themselves, which means just by doing that program, you become logical, you become analytical in your approach, you develop critical thinking skills, you become sharp in terms of research abilities, everything else. And then you build an empire over those degrees, right? You could become tomorrow a sports analyst. You could become a web designer or anything else that you wish to be. So the whole idea, or you could get into pandemic studies if you wanted to, yeah, just because you built that on that one particular qualification. So I want you to maybe think about these qualifications that are an end in themselves more holistically. Okay. So I'm not saying, so someone might say, should I really study history? Yeah, it's just teaching me about what happened in the past. But talk to a history enthusiast and have this conversation with them, and they will tell you that how it has helped them to deal with the future. So you cannot say that something which is a core study program is not going to be relevant tomorrow, because it is, I mean, it's then done and dusted, so to say. Yeah. A lot of, and this question, by the way, this is not a very student-centric question, Desh, even though it might sound like it. Students articulate this question, but actually it is coming from the center of fear that lies within most of their parents. I'm sorry to say if some parents are listening to it. Okay. A lot of parents are very scared. इसका result क्या होगा? इसका ROI क्या है? इतने पैसे लगा दिए, उसका मतलब result क्या निकलेगा? Right?
Right.
So this whole idea of result-oriented approach to everything that you do in life is coming from an inner fear of how are you going to make it? How are you going to monetize it, essentially? Whereas that was never the purpose of education in the first place. In the very first place, the purpose of your education is to actually, I would love to hear it on the chat box maybe from some of these people. What do you think is the purpose of your education? Why do you think you have to get educated today at all if you're so smart and if you've done it all, and if you're only thinking of relevance, then why education at all? Let's hear some comments maybe from some people.
Yes, please.
Why? क्यों पढ़ना क्यों है? सब तो आता है तुम्हें, सब कुछ गूगल पे है.
पेपर भी उन डिग्रीज के लिए.
Of course. So I mean, that's my 2 cents. I'm sorry if it was not exactly the right answer you were looking for, but for me it makes a lot of sense, because yes, I can give you a list of new age careers. I do a lot of these workshops on new age parenting and new age careers. What is going to be relevant 10 years from now? I can give you a whole list, and I'm sure if you just Googled it also, you will get a whole 5 pages on it also. But just because it is relevant in 5 years from now, do you think you are smart enough to actually become that? Think about that. What was Steve Jobs doing at college? What was he really doing? Was he actually trying to figure out that I'm going to create like the smartest machine on this planet and people are going to hog over it? There are going to be queues outside the Apple store for people. He was not thinking of all that. He was just thinking of creation. He was just thinking of innovating. He was just thinking of,
And learning calligraphy.
Learning calligraphy, exactly. So stop thinking about results only. If you just focus on the result, वो कहते हैं ना पैसे के पीछे भागोगे पैसा और आगे भागेगा आपसे. जब आप पैसे के पीछे नहीं भागोगे तो पैसा आपके पीछे आएगा, right? So same is the case with most of these programs. So if you're going to constantly chase the results, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Yeah.
That's hard hit, but honestly hit. So yes, I think many of them can actually relate. In fact, I can relate to it. When I was going for my professional degree program for masters, definitely these were the thoughts. And the parents' angle, that is usually missed. People don't really talk about it, but that fear, that is immense. And that is actually taking a toll on the student's decision more often than not. So actually we need to address that. So you left the Instagram live again.
Yeah, I think my phone died. So I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. We'll end the Instagram live. We'll continue on here. We have a question. I do have a question then by Krutika. I agree with you, ma'am, but how do I explain this to parents in the first place? The relevance of what I would want to do.
So sit them down, I would say. So what also helps is, that's the reason, when I take my mentorship program, especially with college students and even school students, it's a good idea to bring in the parents into the picture and also look at the situation as a family. Because at the end of the day, you are going to be, they are the ones who are going to be investing in you. So one, have you made yourself capable enough to be, are you worth investing in? Yeah. Ask yourself this question. And if there are some points where you feel that there are obviously areas of improvement, I think you should focus on that. You should try to, iron out the things. Parents do understand. देखो, एक चीज simple सी बात है. Parents कोई दूसरी टीम में नहीं है. Parents तुम्हारी टीम नहीं है. Okay. Yeah, it's all your team. So if you're working with a counselor also, this is all your team. So, it's going to be Desh's team. And so we are all working together to make Desh into the next, person to climb the Mount Everest. But what happens is sometimes Desh is going to he himself is going to pull himself down. तो तब नीचे वाले थोड़ा सा धक्का लगा सकते हैं, लेकिन जब तक देश अपने आप को नहीं उठाएगा तब तक वो बाकी लोग जितना मर्जी धक्का लगा लेंगे फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा एक तरह से, right? So somewhere see from the parents' point of view, I often tell them that there is a little litmus test. So a lot of students ask, should we send her abroad? Should we send him abroad? Okay, so उसका एक छोटा सा litmus test है. One is from the student side. What is important to see is that do you have not only the skill and the interest in the program, but also the right attitude for learning. If you're going to go to New York City just because of the party scene there, or London, you all know what happens there with our friends. Yeah. If you're just going there for that, your parents also know it, by the way. Okay? They're not fools.
Yes.
Right. On the parent side, so from your side, skills, interest, and your overall attitude is important. From your parent side, yes, what they should look at is certain resources that are important. So resources is not always money. Resources are also could be you might have family there, you might have some support system there, or you might have some alumni you can really trust there and all of that. So those things also become important. And if these two come together and there is a good match, then I would say there is no parent out there who would not want to become the wind beneath your wings and make you fly. They would want to see their children rise and all of that. So make peace with that. Try to make peace.
Nicely put there. So I hope, Krutika, that answers your question. And if not, you can still keep sending us. Yeah, thank you very much, she says. So you can still keep sending us your questions, and we'll make sure that they go to Charushila and she can answer it. And again, like her work is in this side of giving consultation services and things like that. So she is very well experienced with these things. So you can just shoot her your questions to her, and I'm sure you'll get expert answers. So thank you very much again, Charushila. You guys are welcome to actually put in your questions now, and I have a couple of them. If you don't, I'll ask, in the meantime. So Charushila, we have another question that so can I take, one of our user asked, can I take admission in an Indian university in a satellite campus of foreign university and then take a transfer after 1 year if I'm going for an undergrad course or a master's course of 2 years? So will it be a good option?
It's a sensible option at this stage to maybe do this kind of a partnership program. These are basically affiliate center programs where you can do 1 year here or 2 years here and then transition to the university. The only bit of advice that I would give there is just please check on the bona fides of the university here or the partner institution here and the university there. You must ask for every kind of paperwork that you will require. And if possible, if it's a new university, obviously they might not be able to show you proof of students who've actually gone there. But if it is not a new setup, please do ask them for students who have indeed gone to the university thereafter and have got that credit transfer. In this, I would also like to highlight to some students that there are some programs that you can do online where if there are some school students especially, or some students who've taken a gap year, they can actually do a credit course here in India from a platform called Scholarly. Scholarly.co is the website, and they can go there and actually do the program and thereafter transfer their credits to various universities internationally. So this is primarily in the US, but for now, but there are some very good programs that they have.
Very well. Thank you very much for the answer, Charushila. And another last question that I have in my list is that, again, I don't know if how much the question is relevant and if it's correct in any sense or not, but you're the expert, you'll tell. So there are some students where Indians can take admissions easily. So should we target those universities? Will it be a wise decision to do so?
You mean some international universities
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It depends on your profile. I mean, it is very subjective to what kind of profile you have. So when you're applying to universities overseas, there are basically 5 things you need to watch out for. One is, of course, the kind of marks that you have. So every mark, let's say if you're a college student, then every score from your school to college will actually matter, mostly your final year results also. Second, they are looking at certain entrance exams to qualify, whether it's the IELTS or TOEFL, which is a basic English paper, to maybe something which is like a GMAT, GRE in some cases. So those exams become relevant as such. 3, they are looking at, of course, your recommendation letter. These recommendations can come from, of course, your professors, but also from places where you might have done an internship or a project of the kind. So that is important. 4, they are looking at your profile, which is essentially your activity profile, everything that you have done outside of the classroom to engage with learning. Yes, online courses help there, but also what helps is some kind of a personal initiative that you've taken. Maybe you were part of your own startup, maybe you created something new. What also helps sometimes is some paper presentations or some journals where you've been published, perhaps, or if you worked as a research assistant somewhere. So there are many ways to, of course, build a profile. There's a whole session on that, of course. But perhaps we should pick that up as the next topic, maybe.
Yes, I understand.
Because I think that's so much to talk over there. And then, of course, we can also, your college essays is very, very important. So these are the 5 things that they're looking at. If you feel that somewhere you, let's say, are not doing well on the grades, but have a great profile or have everything perhaps, accordingly you'll have to tweak your college list. Frankly, there is no such general list that says that, these are colleges that usually accept Indian students. Indian students are everywhere. And you name a country, including a Budapest in Hungary, or, Prague, or you go down to New Zealand, or you went to Norway, so there are so many other places, or Japan now. I think Japan is emerging very beautifully, and there are so many Indian students there as well. So you shouldn't think in terms of, just going to universities that accept Indian students. Look at, once again, yourself. ये generalization छोड़ दो, because generalization is almost like sitting behind a shield. You get off the shield, look at yourself, and then talk to yourself as to, मेरे अंदर क्या है जिससे I will be able to get into colleges and universities.
Nice. So we have just 5 more minutes left. Okay. I have one more question coming up in the chat. You can also read it. Hello, ma'am. Just wanted to also contribute to what you have said. It's just about relevance. It's also about how you can give back to the world, how you can transform yourselves and through you others. If in the process you become a better human being and contribute through that to others' lives, that is education.
Oh, beautifully said, Akhil. God bless you, and I am sure you're going to make this world a better place. Yeah, with these kind of thoughts in your mind.
Thank you, Akhil. So 5 minutes. My one more question that we had was about scholarships. So we'll do a full session on scholarships and how to crack them and everything else. But just to touch base upon, so are scholarships, more readily available because of the pandemic, or more rarely available because of the pandemic, or are they available at all, or should we even consider applying for a scholarship because the situation? So what is the scene with just a 2-line expert view of yours? So how do scholarships hold relevance?
So when we were all searching for sanitizers, हमें sanitizer मिल रहे थे, नहीं मिल रहे थे?
In the start, no.
फिर क्या हुआ?
Then the production started increasing.
And then?
And then it's readily available now.
Everybody is, manufacturing. घर पे बन रहे हैं, बाहर बन रहे हैं. सब जगह there are sanitizers everywhere. Now, when people will have less money, let's say today businesses have shut down. Our heart goes out to the hospitality industry right now. So much is happening. So once people know, and the whole world knows, that there is this paucity, or there is this gap, or there is this some kind of a recession, obviously, kind of is setting in. So what should be the actual response of a giving university, let's say? Question to you.
Oh, sorry, that was a question to me. So they'll try to fit in. Your question was, so because of the pandemic, the students have started coming less to the university. So what would be?
No. So my question is that basically, if at all, there are going to be universities out there who are, if they are giving universities, and they are seeing that the situation out there is getting bad, people don't have the money to spend, and there are more people to learn. Will they be giving more scholarships or less scholarships?
I think so, more. I mean, they have a large endowment fund, so I think
there you go. Yeah. Okay, so the answer is right there. Yes, it's a matter of time before we actually start seeing how this is going to play out in front of us. Yeah, it's only a matter of time. But there is also a difference between scholarships and financial aid. The endowment funds that you're mentioning are basically part of the financial aid, which is, as it is going to be directed to people who are in need of these scholarships, but at the same this financial aid. But at the same time, there are also these meritorious students who are essentially looking at merit-based availability of funds. So hopefully the news should be positive that there should be more and more scholarships and more endowment funds available to students, and because the students are the future of the world. Yeah,
right.
We cannot mess with that.
Right.
So anyone who messes with that, bad karma to them.
Right. So I think we'll have to, end the webinar, the first episode of it for now. But before we do it, I'll just like to inform the attendees of this webinar about a special offer that we're extending as part of, joining this webinar. So Precisely has different plans. So do check out our website. So we have different plans for students when would like to go abroad and study abroad and have consultations, get matched to opportunities and scholarships. So we have a lot of plans for them. So we are giving out our discovery plan for $2, and there it's a discounted rate, heavily discounted rate. You can just go and check out the website for the actual rates. We have your email IDs, official email IDs, so we'll know if you're a part of the webinar. Just mention it in your email. And the good thing that happens with that package is that you get a call with Charushila herself. So we'll make sure that Charushila answers your questions. You'll have a short. She's a very, very busy person, so you'll probably get a very, very short call. But I can definitely certain you that you'll get your answers for the questions that you have in your minds. So basically, we are not able to cover all the questions as of now, but all the services are precisely in that discovery plan. We have a range of services, so you can choose any one of them. And plus, from University Connections, it's an offering for you guys that she'll be taking up the short calls with you guys to answer your questions. And maybe if you have, if you want to avail the guidance services from University Connection, but after talking to Charush and Narula, you can contact us, you can contact her, and we can take that forward. And we know that she has, made so many people go abroad and study and take admission. So she'll make sure that she helps you, and the University Connections helps you. Am I right, Charushila? University Connection will be there for the students, right?
University Connection, and I personally am always there. And I'd still like to, you make me sound very, very, I don't know. Thank you, Desh, for all those lovely comments. But I would just say that I might be a busy person, but at this point in time, I'm very, very, very happy and very open to talking to students and families, because my heart goes out to, I'm also a mother, so I totally understand, what might be happening in terms of families and what all they are going through, thinking about the future. And the future might, to you, look like a little hazy, gray picture, but believe you me, there is a lot of clarity out there. We can just try to show you that clarity, and it will be my pleasure and my absolute honor to speak to you students. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So on that note, we'll end today's webinar. But all of you, please stay tuned, because we'll have so many more webinars with Charushila, with University Connection, and her partners as well, our partners as well. So it will be a very, very interactive session in the coming webinars. You will be inviting panelists and experts out there, and we'll all be talking about and solving your queries basically. So we are only designing webinars, us and University Connection precisely, that it solves the student queries, it solves the pandemic, it eases out the pandemic situation for you guys basically. We can't solve it fully, but we can ease it out, so I will make sure that we do it, and do join us for the next webinars as well. Good luck to you guys. You'll get an email for the offerings that I just told you about, so do follow up on that. And thank you again for being there with us.
Thank you so much, Desh. I want to personally thank you and Precisely for organizing this wonderful webinar. And I look forward to future interactions.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.